Living to please others is a prison of your own making. Every time you put someone else's expectations above your own needs, you lock another door. You silence your voice, shrink yourself to fit their mold, and trade your authenticity for their approval. But here's the truth. No matter how much you give, no matter how much you adjust, it will never be enough. The moment you stop seeking approval, you start truly living. People-pleasing is exhausting because it is a game you can never win. If your happiness depends on making everyone else happy, you are not living for yourself. You are performing. You become trapped in a cycle of seeking validation, afraid that one wrong move will make you unworthy in someone else's eyes. But ask yourself, when was the last time you made a decision without wondering how others would feel about it? When was the last time you did something purely because it was right for you, not because it was expected of you? The weight of other people's expectations will crush you if you let it. But here's the good news. You don't have to. The only way to be truly free is to stop living for the approval of others and start choosing yourself. It won't be easy. It will take courage. But the moment you decide that your peace, your happiness, and your authenticity matter more than pleasing others, you take back your power. If you're tired of constantly saying yes when you want to say no, tired of adjusting yourself to fit into spaces that don't appreciate you, then this is your wake-up call. This is where the real freedom begins. People-pleasing is not just a habit. It's a deeply ingrained survival instinct. It begins with fear. The fear of rejection, of judgment, of being cast aside for not fitting into the expectations of others. From a young age, many learn that approval equals safety, that being accepted means being loved. And so the cycle begins, sacrificing authenticity in exchange for validation, bending and shaping into whatever version of themselves seems the most acceptable. This conditioning runs deep. Being nice is often mistaken for being agreeable at any cost. Many are taught that saying no is selfish, that prioritizing personal needs is wrong, that a good person is one who puts others first, always. But where does that lead? To exhaustion, to resentment, to an identity that is no longer their own, but a reflection of what others want them to be. Then comes guilt. The moment someone dares to put themselves first, the weight of obligation presses down. What if saying no disappoints someone? What if setting a boundary makes them seem unkind? What if choosing themselves means losing the approval they've worked so hard to keep? This guilt is a chain, keeping them tied to choices that do not serve them, to relationships that drain them, to expectations that were never theirs to meet. The cost of people-pleasing is high. It strips away identity, leaving behind a version of a person who exists only for the comfort of others. It erases boundaries, making it impossible to say no without guilt or hesitation. And in the end, it leads to exhaustion, an endless cycle of trying to meet impossible standards. But here's the truth. No one can truly be free while living for others. The price is too great. Step 1, shift your mindset. The first step to breaking free from people-pleasing is to accept a simple but powerful truth. You will never please everyone. No matter how much you give, how much you adjust, or how much you sacrifice, there will always be someone who disapproves. Opinions will shift, expectations will change, and the more you chase approval, the more it will slip through your fingers. So why live your life according to someone else's standards? Why let the weight of their judgment decide your worth? The only approval you truly need is your own. This shift in mindset will not happen overnight. The first time you say no, it might feel uncomfortable. The first time you refuse to meet an unfair expectation, you might second-guess yourself. But discomfort is temporary. Every time you stand your ground, you build strength. Every time you choose your peace over someone else's approval, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Growth is not about avoiding discomfort. It's about walking through it until it no longer controls you. Most importantly, know your own worth. People-pleasing is a game of proving yourself, of earning acceptance through self-sacrifice. But you do not have to prove anything. Your value is not measured by how much you do for others. You are not more worthy because you bend, because you serve, because you give until there is nothing left. You are worthy simply because you exist. The moment you believe that, deeply without hesitation, is the moment you stop seeking validation and start living for yourself. Step 2. Set boundaries. Without guilt. Setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-respect. It is the moment you decide that your time, energy, and peace are just as valuable as anyone else's. And the first step to setting boundaries is learning to say no. A simple no is enough. No excuses, no explanations, no justifications. You do not owe anyone a reason for protecting your own well-being. People pleasers struggle because they believe that every decision must be justified. Every refusal must come with an explanation. But the more you explain, the more power you give away. When you over-explain, you open the door for negotiation, for doubt, for others to challenge your decisions. You do not need permission to prioritize yourself. You do not need validation to take up space in your own life. And yet, the moment you start setting boundaries, resistance will come. Some will push back. Some will guilt you. Some will use emotional blackmail to keep you in the role they are comfortable with. This is manipulation disguised as concern. Recognize it for what it is. When someone tries to make you feel bad for saying no, when they twist your words to make you seem selfish, when they act as though your boundaries are a personal attack, understand that this is not about you. It is about their discomfort with your growth. Standing firm will not always be easy, but it will always be worth it. The people who respect you will adjust. The ones who only benefited from your lack of boundaries will reveal themselves. And in the end, you will realize something life-changing. The world does not end when you stop overgiving. You do not lose yourself by saying no. You finally reclaim who you were always meant to be. Step 3. Redefine relationships and priorities. The people you surround yourself with shape the reality you live in. If your relationships are built on obligation, guilt, or fear of rejection, they will drain you. But when they are built on respect, understanding, and mutual value, they will strengthen you. This is why quality matters more than quantity. A small circle of people who honor your boundaries is worth more than 100 who only stay as long as you bend to their will. Choose wisely. Letting go of approval seeking is one of the hardest yet most freeing things you will ever do. Many confuse respect with compliance. They will only respect you as long as you meet their expectations, agree with their opinions, or fulfill their needs. But real respect is not conditional. It does not require you to shrink yourself, silence yourself, or sacrifice yourself. If someone's approval depends on you being anything other than your true self, then it is not approval you need. It is distance. The ultimate shift comes when you stop living for others and start living for yourself. Too many people shape their lives based on external expectations, what they should do, how they should behave, what success should look like. But this is your life, not theirs. The only definition of happiness that matters is your own. The only version of success that counts is the one that fulfills you. Stop twisting yourself to fit someone else's vision. Your path is yours to walk, and the sooner you take ownership of it, the sooner you will find real peace. Redefining your relationships and priorities is not about pushing people away. It is about making sure the ones who stay truly belong in your life. When you stop seeking validation and start valuing yourself, the right people will recognize it. And the ones who don't, they were never meant to walk this path with you. This is the moment you decide. No more bending to meet expectations that are not your own. No more seeking approval that was never yours to chase. No more living a life that feels small just to make others comfortable. From this moment forward, choose yourself. Choose your peace over pleasing. Choose your authenticity over acceptance. Choose your happiness without apology, without hesitation, without guilt. The world will always have opinions. There will always be those who want you to conform, to stay quiet, to remain predictable. But their comfort is not your responsibility. Their expectations are not your purpose. You do not need permission to be yourself. You do not need validation to live the life you were meant for. The freedom to be yourself is not something given. It is something taken. It is claimed through action, through boundaries, through the unwavering decision to stand in your own truth. So stop waiting. Stop asking. Stop doubting. The life you want begins when you stop hesitating and start owning every part of who you are. The choice is yours. Take it.